The full moon dominated the sky, painting the village of Erdhall with a silvery glow that barely hid the approaching shadows. I was lying on the cold hay in Branimir's stable, my muscles still recalling the hunt of the day, when an unusual smell, thick smoke mixed with a metallic hint of blood, tore through the silence of the night. In an instant, the air seemed to vibrate with a sinister omen. A sharp scream echoed in the dark, and without thinking, I sprang to my feet. My heart pounded erratically, my eyes widening as I faced the chaos spreading through the village. As I opened the wooden door, the scene before me was worthy of a nightmare. The houses, usually cozy, were consumed by black and cold flames, dancing unnaturally against the night's chill. Amid the desperate screams of the villagers, shadows mounted on black steeds emerged, rising like ghosts from ancient tales. They were the spectral knights. Their eyes, glowing like embers, and their armor that absorbed the moonlight, gave them an aura of inevitability. I barely had time to process the horror when a familiar voice broke through the clamor. The Ion. It was Branimir, struggling to escape the stable. His eyes reflected pure terror. Before I could reach him, a black blade cut through the air and found its mark, the old man's chest, causing him to fall to the ground in silence, blood staining the earth. In that same instant, from a corner, I heard another scream. I turned and saw Lyria, my adoptive mother, running with her face marked by soot and desperation in her eyes. The Ion, flee! She pleaded. But fate, cruel and merciless, acted swiftly. A shadow slid behind her, a blade pierced her flesh, and with a look that mixed love and pain, she whispered, "You are the last heir of the Black Flame." As her words dissolved in the air, Lyria collapsed, and the world seemed to freeze, like a painting suspended in time. Amid the chaos, time slowed. Pain, fear, and desperation converged in a single moment. Something awoke within me, a dormant energy that vibrated with unknown force. When one of the knights turned to reap my life, my instinct took over. My hand rose, and from within me exploded a wave of fire. Black flames, cold and voracious, enveloping the enemy in a blaze that briefly illuminated the destruction around me. The knight screamed as his armor disintegrated into ashes, and for a moment, the horror transformed into stunned silence. The other knights stopped, their gazes fixed on me with a mixture of surprise and fear. I, that forgotten boy, now bearer of a power I didn't even understand, found myself at the epicenter of a personal revolution. With the black flame pulsing in my fingers, the terror of the Erdhall massacre merged with a new determination. I knew, in that exact moment, that there was no turning back. Fate had chosen me, and the weight of that legacy pulsed through my blood.
Quick tip to level up your experience. Read manhwas and light novels for free. Listen to epic audiobooks. Watch unlimited anime. Play cloud games with no console. And stream the best anime soundtracks. Check the description now and grab your free trials.
Without hesitation, I turned and ran. Each step in the snow mixed with ashes and blood sounded like the beat of a funeral march. Behind me, the screams and the hooves of the knights merged into a distant roar, but I couldn't stop. The only certainty was that I needed to survive to understand what the black flame represented. As the village crumbled into flames and shadows, the image of Branimir and Lyria's faces burned into my mind. I was the last heir of an ancient power, and each beat of my heart now carried the burden and the promise of an uncertain future. The darkness of the forest closed in around me. Each tree, each breath of wind, seemed to whisper secrets of an inevitable destiny. The power that had awakened in my hand was as terrifying as it was fascinating, and the question echoing in my mind was the only one that mattered. What does it mean to be the heir of the Black Flame? I knew that night was only the beginning. As I ran to disappear into the vastness of the forest, a single thought persisted. The journey to uncover the mysteries hidden within me had begun, and there would be no rest until I unraveled the truth. The darkness of the forest swallowed the trail beneath my feet. Each step I took in the damp snow was like a pulse marking the rhythm of a heart in flight. The silence was not peaceful, but carried a sinister weight, the distant sound of hooves, as if a horde of ghosts was closing in. I could feel, deep in my soul, that the spectral knights would not let me escape so easily. The landscape turned into a maze of twisted trees and dancing shadows. My eyes, still blinded by the turmoil of Erdhall, tried to catch every movement in the dim light. Suddenly, a sharp snap, a branch broke under the weight of a spectral horse. My heart raced. Garayan Blackwood, a whispered voice, cold and inexorable, echoed through the trees, as if the wind itself sought to announce my downfall. With no time to think, I quickened my pace. The snow became a treacherous carpet, making me stumble. In an instant, a black arrow cut through the air, grazing the side of my face. The impact didn't hit me, but the proximity of danger was so tangible that every fiber of my being screamed for escape. As I looked back, I glimpsed a silhouette, quick and lethal, dissolving as mysteriously as it had appeared. The forest seemed to conspire against me, its contours dissolving into a sea of shadows. When I finally reached a clearing, my eyes met 5 imposing figures, the spectral knights, lined up like sentinels of death. Their helmets concealed their faces, but I could feel the chill of their gazes, filled with a singular intent, to eliminate the heir who had awakened the black flame. Their leader dismounted the horse with a deafening slowness, each movement meticulously calculated. The twisted blade in his hand seemed to pulse with a malignant energy, and he spoke with a voice that reverberated through the space between the trees. "You carry a burden you cannot bear, Tharayan. Your blood invokes the end, and we shall be the heralds of that sentence." His words echoed like a prophecy of agony. I felt the weight of destiny, but the fury burning in my veins would not allow surrender. As the knights advanced, the tension was shattered by a sudden flash. The black flame pulsing in my fingers exploded into a dark glow, lighting up the clearing with cold, voracious flames. The energy twisted and shot out, throwing one of the knights against a tree, its trunk shattering into a rain of ashes. A raspy scream echoed, and for a brief moment, time seemed to falter. Adrenaline flooded every inch of my body. I could feel the unusual heat of the black flame pulsing, as the battle between life and death unfolded in slow motion around me. One of the knights advanced with restrained fury, his threatening blade just inches from me. In an almost involuntary reflex, my hand clenched, and the black energy expanded, a fleeting shield that repelled the attack with devastating force. For a moment, the battlefield stopped, the screams, the hooves, the sound of metal clashing. I was alone with my thoughts, my face illuminated by the icy fire emanating from me. "You do not control this power, heir." The leader's voice infiltrated my thoughts, trying to poison me with doubts and fears. But in that moment, I understood that the only option was to flee. Direct combat, though inevitable, was not yet the way to understand what the black flame truly meant. Without looking back, I took one step, then another, plunging back into the darkness of the forest. Each step was a wager against death, each breath a cry of defiance to fate. As the silhouette of the spectral knights faded into the distance, the biting cold of the night and the sound of my own breath filled the silence. But I knew that fleeing was not the end. On the contrary, it was only the beginning of a journey that would lead me to uncover the secrets of the black flame, a power burning inside me that I could barely control. The trees whispered ancient and dangerous tales, and the wind seemed to carry the promise that, soon, the hunters would return. One single question formed in my mind as I disappeared into the darkness. How far will I go to unravel the mystery that resides in my blood? I knew the journey would be long, and that each step would bring me closer to both answers and new dangers. But, that night, the only certainty was that I couldn't stop. And so, as the forest swallowed me whole, destiny approached, relentless, dark, and inevitable.
Did you enjoy the video? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us know which stories you love most and which ones we should prioritize in future productions. Your support is essential for us to keep bringing you the best manhwa content every day. See you in the next episode.